Shabbat Shalom, everyone, on this Shabbat Shlach. Shabbat Shalom to everyone who has joined us since we began. Anahel, always wonderful that you're with us. Meira, Ilana. On this Shabbat Shlach, let's see what it has in store for us. Shabbat Shlach. As Eliana shared with us, it includes the instruction, the mitzvah, for donning tzitzit, the fringes on our garments. But the parsha begins with Moshe sending 12 spies to explore the land of Israel in perhaps the single greatest collective failure of leadership in Torah. 10 of the spies returned with a report calculated to demoralize the people, that it will be too difficult to conquer the land. God responds to their lack of confidence by punishing them with 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. And as I mentioned, later on, we receive the instruction to put fringes on the corners of our garments. Well, let's take a look at the spies. Well, before we do that, a story. Because this parsha and the episode of the spies, for which we do not get to enter the land, the generation of the spies needs to die out first, is because the spies are guilty of being pessimistic folk. And here's a story I want to share with you, and maybe you relate to it. There was a long, long time ago a king who had twin sons. Now, though they looked exactly alike, their personalities couldn't have been as further different than possible. They were like day and night. One of the sons was a devout pessimist, the other one an incurable optimist. And when they came of age, the king decided it was time to open their eyes to the other side of life. And he planned to do so through the gift that he would give them on their birthday. For the pessimist, he went to the royal jeweler. "I'd like to give him the most beautiful watch ever made," the king said to the jeweler. "Money is no object. Jewels, diamonds, gold, platinum, whatever you need. I need the best for this son. And I want it to be ready for his birthday." And for the optimist, he went to the palace gardener and said to the palace gardener, "When my son wakes up on his birthday morning, I want him to see at the foot of his bed a huge pile of horse manure." So the birthday arrived, and the king, with great anticipation, went to see first his pessimistic son. And he found his pessimistic son gazing at that watch, sitting there glumly on his bed. "How do you like your gift?" asked his father. "It's all right," said the pessimist, "but it's really kind of gaudy. And even if it wasn't, it's the sort of thing that'll probably get stolen, or I'll lose it or break it." Well, the king heard enough from him, and he went off to visit the room of his sunny optimist. And as he approached, he heard singing and laughing coming from the room. And when he entered the room, he found his son dancing with joy. The father, the king, was completely perplexed. As he entered the room, the son rushed over to him and he hugged him. "Oh, thank you, Father. It's just what I always wanted." Well, bewildered, the king asked the son, "Oh, what are you thanking me for?" "Why, Father, for the horse." So there you have it. The pessimist and the optimist. Yeah, I think Oren had to explain it to Lucinda. Remember, there was a pile of manure at the foot of the bed. Let's go back to the Parsha and see how all of this makes sense within that context. Vayashuvu mitor haaretz miketz arba'im yom, and they, the spies, returned from searching the land after 40 days. V'yisperu lo vayomeru banu al haaretz asher shalachtani v'gam savach chalav udavash hi v'zer piriyah. And they told Moshe, the spies did, they said, we came to the land where you sent us. And indeed, it flows with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. This is how large the fruit was that they brought back, grapes the size of themselves. Oh, that was the optimistic side. What they also found there was this. Ephes ki az ha'am b'yoshev ba'aretz. But the people are strong that dwell in the land. He'arim mitzurot gedolot ma'od v'gam yilidi ha'anak ra'inu sham. And the cities are fortified and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. Oh, the children of Anak. What is an Anak? Anybody know? An Anak is a giant. Living there were the children of giants. Oh my God. There we saw giants. So look all the way to the left on the screen. That's you and me. The giants stood almost 36 feet tall. They saw themselves as grasshoppers before their eyes. Wow. That might have made me pessimistic as well. Continuing on, however, there we have the choice. Do we look at the glass half full, or do we look at the glass half empty? Grapes, giants. Grapes, giants. Well, the fact that they came in with a negative report, this was nonsense, says Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory. And they should have known it was nonsense. They had left Egypt, the greatest empire of the ancient world, after a series of plagues that brought that great country to its knees. They had crossed the seemingly impenetrable barrier of the Red Sea. They had fought and defeated the Amalekites, a ferocious warrior nation. They should have known that the people of the land were afraid of them, not the other way around. And so it was that 10 out of the 12 of the spies came back with a negative report that freaked the people out. However, these two guys, Caleb and, these are the 10 of the spies who were pessimists. However, the other, I keep jumping ahead of myself. A quote from Harvard historian David Landis. I don't think any relationship to our Helena. In this world, the optimists have it, not because they're always right, but because they're positive. Even when wrong, they are positive. And that is the way of achievement, correction, improvement, and success. Educated, eyes open, optimism pays. Pessimism can only offer the empty consolation of being right. Alrighty. No, let's get back. But there were 2 of the spies who came back with a very positive report. Vayas Kalev et ha'am el Moshe vayomru Allah na'aleh v'yarshu ota ki yachol nuchal laha. And Caleb hushed the people before Moshe and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are able to overcome it. We can do it. Yes, we can. There they are, Caleb and Joshua, the optimists. So we have it, my friends. We have the choice. Do you want to be one of the 10 spies or one of the 2 spies? Who brought an evil report about the land of Israel. It's a land that devours its inhabitants. While we were there, we saw giants. Not from San Francisco. We felt like tiny grasshoppers. That's all we were in their eyes. And the entire community raised a hubbub and began to shout. And that night, the people, they wept. And our commentators share with us that this was, on the day that the people wept, the 9th day of the month of Av. And you know what that is? That is Tisha B'Av. That is the day of mourning in which we mourn for so many things in our history. In the Talmud, in Masechet Ta'anit, B'Tisha B'Av, Nigzar al Avotenu shelo yikansu la'aretz. It was on the 9th of Av that it was decreed upon our ancestors that they would not enter Eretz Yisrael. And thus the weeping, and thus the mourning on the 9th of Av. What was their fatal mistake? The fatal mistake of the spies? The truth is that the spies, they were correct in most of their descriptions about the strength and nature of the residents. Their critical error was in underestimating their own strength, in not believing in themselves. This is Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, the chief rabbi of Pre-State Israel. And Rav Kook writes about what he calls overcoming spyfulness, meragliut. The meraglim, that's the word for the spies who went to the land. And Rav Kook coins this word meragliut, calling it spyfulness, which is an inner quality that is a toxic mindset where individuals focus obsessively on their own weaknesses and the perceived strength of the opposition. Rav Kook asserts that the spies failed because they didn't recognize their own inner spiritual specialness and believed they were unworthy of the land's greatness. And this is Rabbi Yitzchak Even Shayish. Rabbi Yitzchak is an authority on Rav Kook and also ordained, receiving smicha through Reb Zalman as well, and a wonderful musician who gathers jazz musicians to play with him while he's reading works of Rav Kook. And Reb Yitzchak writes that we are here to live fully. We must ensure that spyfulness, this powerful tendency to focus on our weakness and the strength of our opposition, not dominate our life. We must understand that we are at core created B'Tselem Elohim, in the divine image, and no force in existence can prevent our yearning, acting for and manifesting in the highest good. And so, my sweet friends, do you tend to be the optimist or the pessimist? What do you, when you wake up, when you find a gold watch on your bedside or a pile of horse manure, how would you react? On this Shabbos, a Parshat Shlach, may our blessing be that we recognize when self-doubt is ruling our daily lives and shift into the trust and mindset of, I can do this. We can do this. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.